This tutorial is for section S27, Transformations of Linear Functions for Algebra 1. The first thing I want to show you is kind of a little reminder that I wrote at the bottom of the paper. So if they're asking you to translate an equation left or right, you'll be working with moving it h units left or h units right inside of that x. If they're asking you to move it up or down, you'll be moving it k units up or down outside of that. And that'll make a little bit more sense as we start going through our sample problems. Number 1, find g of x, where g of x is the translation 4 units down of f of x equals x. So to start writing our answer, we'll say g of x equals, and then since it's asking us to translate it down, I'm going to skip back down here for just a second. K units down, we're going to subtract k, right? So how far was it? It was 4 units down, so we'll say x minus 4. Number 2, g of x is 7 units down from f of x equals x. So down would be negative, so we're going to subtract 7 from our x, so x minus 7. Number 3, g of x is 6 units right from f of x equals x, so g of x equals x minus 6. Number 4, g of x is the reflection across the y-axis of f of x equals x. So when you're reflecting something across the y-axis, you're just going to change your slope to negative, right? So now g of x equals negative x. If you think about it on your coordinate plane, if you had the parent graph, right, which would be this f of x equals x, what that's going to look like is here. It's going to pass through the origin 0, 0. It's going to go up 1 and over 1, right? And that's what our line is going to look like for f of x equals x. This is the y-axis, and you want to think of that as like a mirror. And so to reflect it across the y-axis, these points over here would be on this side, right? So instead of up 1 over 1, you're going to go down 1 over 1. So it makes sense that this slope would be negative, right? So we're just using that y-axis as like a mirror and reflecting this on the other side of that. So number 5, g of x is 8 units left of f of x equals x. So g of x is x plus 8. Number 6, g of x is the reflection across the x-axis of f of x equals x. So g of x equals negative x. So just like this would be the reflection across the y-axis, so this point is reflected here on this point. If you reflected it across the x-axis, this point now becomes this point, right? Number 7, g of x is 5 units right of f of x equals x. So g of x equals x minus 5. Number 8, g of x is 2 units left of f of x equals x. So g of x is x plus 2. Number 9, g of x is 9 units right of f of x equals x. So g of x equals x minus 9. Number 10, g of x is the reflection across the y-axis of f of x equals positive 4x minus 8. So our answer then will be negative 4x minus 8. And number 11, g of x is 1 unit left of f of x equals 5x plus 1. So g of x equals 5x plus 6. The one thing that I would tell you about this section is at the Algebra 1 level, it's just kind of a preview for geometry. You'll do a lot of this. You'll spend a couple weeks on all kinds of different transformations and translations and reflections when you get to geometry. So kind of just get a general idea of this, scratch the surface on this, and then know that you'll have a lot more practice with this as you move up in your math classes. And that's it.